Hey gang, I'm James. Welcome to 1060 Machine. I'm here today to launch a brand new YouTube channel that's all about my very small and very cramped job shop that I run out of this two-car garage. I get a huge smorgasbord of work, so I do a lot of industrial repair for local companies. I do a lot of short-run production from larger machine shops that are here local, where they'll farm out some of their smaller stuff to me. I live in the home of big yellow tractors, so a lot of that work kind of matriculates down to us little guys. And then I also do a lot of rapid prototyping and product development. So I will do a lot of stuff where I'm bringing a napkin sketch to life, where I'm helping somebody turn that drawing into a product, or I'm helping them turn a prototype into the first 100 that they're going to sell. So I meet some pretty cool people, and I do some pretty cool stuff. And I'm going to bring you guys along for the ride. So a little bit of background about me. I got into machining in a roundabout sort of way. I sort of backed into it really for a long time, many years, and still a little bit today, but not as much. I collected, bought, sold, and restored antique electric fans. So if you can imagine, they're the kind of thing that your grandparents, great-grandparents, or great-great-grandparents might have had. These old, heavy electric fans. They have brass wire cages, the kind of thing where you had to be, very careful how close you got your finger. It might get whacked. So I was just really into those fans, and I still am a little. I still have a couple of them, but there was a point there where I was very involved in fan collecting and restoration. I'll throw a couple of pics of some restorations that I did over the years in here. Common problem that I would run into with these restorations, that everybody would run into with these restorations, is these parts aren't available anymore, right? So there are all these little brass finials and screws and bolts and fasteners, acorn nuts, little brass oiler cups, all these one-off things that were probably pretty common, turn of the century, but now they just don't exist. So the two options were, you could either try to find them somewhere, which is very difficult. These things, the scarcity of these fans is part of what makes them so collectible. So finding parts is not really a thing. Finding donor fans occasionally was a thing, but then I don't know, there's like some sort of ethical things with that, and they're just not very easy to come by. And then the third option was find somebody that could make a reproduction part. So there's actually a community around these fans. The surprisingly robust community around these fans, and in that community there was a handful of machinists. So I would buy parts from a couple different guys that were reproducing them. Got to become friends with a handful of them, and then one guy in particular really let me pick his brain about, how are you making these things? It was this kind of alchemy that I didn't really understand. And he was very generous with his time and information, and walking me through. Well, I turn these brass parts on a lathe, I cut these slotted screw heads on a mill, etc. So that really kind of got my gears turning. Shout out to Mike Petrie, and he suggested, get a lathe like the one that I have. So I did. I bought a 9-inch South Bend. I think I paid $300 for it, but that's really where all this got started, and the rest is history. So I have absolutely no formal training whatsoever. I never went to a tech school. I never went to really any academic setting to learn machining. I never did an apprenticeship anywhere. Everything that I know, pretty much everything that I know today, was learned from some combination of YouTube and trial and error. In the early days of trying to learn this trade on YouTube, I discovered a couple of different channels, many of which I'm sure you guys are familiar with already, many of which I still am subscribed to and watch religiously today. But at the very beginning, early on, I couldn't get enough of it. I just devoured every bit of machining content that I possibly could. I found a whole bunch of really incredible channels that were run by some pretty incredible dudes that literally taught me a trade free of charge. I was just completely blown away by the depth and breadth of what these guys were freely putting on the internet for people like me to just completely devour. So because of these channels and these guys, I was able to learn, the very, very basic manual machining, manual turning, manual milling. I graduated up to some more complex stuff and kind of intermediate and advanced manual machining stuff. Later on, I learned welding from a different channel. It's kind of a natural segue. So I had a history, kind of a background in automotive a million years ago. So I'd done some MIG welding on suspension and exhaust and that kind of thing, and had like a very, very basic understanding of it. But YouTube let me learn TIG welding and actually become pretty good at it, which, when I was a kid, that was just, I remember watching, some of those Discovery Channel shows where they were building motorcycles and TIG welding, and it just seemed like this strange, magical thing that I would never learn. But yeah, like I said, YouTube just sort of unlocked that and allowed me to learn it. Many years after learning manual machining and welding, I started becoming interested. If I'm being honest, I kind of procrastinated it for a while because it seemed like a big hill to climb, but I started becoming very interested in learning CNC so I could run machines like this. So same thing, went to YouTube and these channels and these guys taught me CAD. They taught me CAM. They taught me how to run these machines, tooling. I'm still very much a work in progress. I feel like I learn stuff every day. But the point is that these YouTube channels had given me so much. I've always felt a ton of gratitude for these guys in these channels, like I said, who have taught me so much, given me so much. I'd always kind of planned on starting a YouTube channel. It was always in the back of my mind. If I'm being honest, I procrastinated that as well. But I always wanted to somehow give whatever amount of that good juju that I could, put it back out into the world, right? And hopefully somebody might find these videos and learn some stuff from me. So like I said, I put it off for a long time. I never really had an impetus to start it. It was just always one of those back burners. Yeah, one of these days I'll start a YouTube channel. But recently I bought a new machine, and it just sort of triggered it in my brain. All right, now's the time. So like I mentioned earlier, I do a good amount of industrial repair for local companies. And there's some pretty big stuff in there. And for a while, I'd been turning away work on basically big round items that if I had a bigger manual lathe, these were jobs that I could have taken. So I've been sort of toying with the idea of getting a bigger manual lathe for a while. Again, there's a million reasons not to do something, but finally had a couple of jobs come up in particular that I farmed out to a friend of mine and decided, all right, I got to get a big lathe. So at the sort of confluence of wants and needs, I have also wanted a big Monarch for a long time. I like old stuff, as evidenced by the fans we were talking about. I've been lusting after this and other machines on YouTube for a long time. So I really, really wanted to buy a big Monarch lathe. So I was able to find one locally, and I figured that the buying, moving, repairing, setting up, et cetera, of this new Monarch would be as good a time of any, or as good a topic as any to start a YouTube channel. So here we are. I'm going to take you over to the new to me, actually very, very old Monarch lathe that I picked up recently and show you what we got. I unfortunately lost some footage from the move, but here's the original pictures from the seller before I got it, where it was sitting. You can see the kind of shape it's in, how crusty it is. It clearly hasn't been used in quite some time. So eventually we did go pick it up. My homie Nate helped me get it loaded onto this trailer. This is not the trailer I reserved originally. I tried to get I believe it was a 12,000 pound trailer, and they rented it out to somebody else. So I wound up with a 7,500 pound trailer, which, as you can see, just barely picked this thing up. I had to load it that way because of how I was unloading it. So it was extremely back heavy, and it fishtailed real bad. We had the cruise set on 32 the entire time. After a super harrowing 32 mile an hour, I think it was like 4.5 hour long trip with my friend Nate, who was a saint for helping me do all this. We finally did get it back to my house, so you can see a nest in the spindle. Got it set down. Lost my time lapse, but yeah, did get it set down in the shop. It actually ran as soon as I got it hooked up to power finally. Not particularly well. It was at slow speed, but it did run.
Eventually I got it cleaned up, changed the oil. Here you can see it getting primed. A little bit later in the process, got some primer, some paint. The tailstock still is untouched there. A little bit farther along in the process, so the tailstock's on the floor. Tailstock's done and painted.
All right, guys, here it is. As you can see, we got the lathe set down in the shop. It was a extremely harrowing trip. I know I was talked about a little bit in the voiceover, but the voiceover and really all this YouTube stuff and filming myself is new to me. So I was kind of rushing, trying to make sure that I was timed up right with the video and the voiceover. But anyway, we had to load this thing up. Basically backwards of how I would have wanted to on the trailer. We needed the headstock side facing in so that I could kind of parallel park it where it's going, or where it is right now. So because of that, we had the heavy side, this side, back on the trailer. And then the tailstock side forward, which is the exact opposite of what you'd want. And it fishtailed, like I said, bad, real bad. There was a, there was a scary moment when we got going, I think like 36 miles an hour or something like that, and it fishtailed hard. So I basically backed off of that. I crept up very slowly on the cruise control. 34 it started to fishtail, so we set it at 32 miles an hour and just drove for hours and hours and hours. Luckily through a bunch of back roads, not through towns, but it was a little spooky getting it in here. In addition to that, the trailer, I think this thing weighs about 7,500 pounds. The trailer that I got was rated for 7,500 pounds. It was kind of a nightmare. They rented me the wrong one. Anyway, when the drop deck lifted up all the way, it got the back of this thing maybe 3 or 4 inches off the ground. So, but when we finally did get it back here and set down, breathed a huge sigh of relief. It took 2 days to move it, but yeah, it's here and it's up and running. So it was quite a big project. Getting everything kind of just set up and cleaned and functional. It was extremely crusty, as you saw, extremely crusty. I'm not super keen on restoration or really even painting old machines. I kind of like old things to look old. And that was my plan originally with this machine, was just to kind of leave the original paint. When I actually got into cleaning it, like I've done with other old machines in the past, there was just nothing left. It flaked off into absolutely nothing. It was yellow, it was black, it was green, there was white, there was red filler. It was just a mess. This machine sat in the shop that I got it from for I think like 10 or 15 years, unused, unheated. So it just got hot and cold, hot and cold, hot and cold, and it destroyed whatever paint there was. The paint was just gone. So I did wind up having to paint it. Yeah, it came out okay. I did not have any intentions of trying to make it beautiful, but I wanted it to be functional. And like I said, it was in really bad shape. Kind of cool history behind this machine. I was able to get the original BOL from Monarch. So this was sold. The machine was made in 1937. It was sold in 1938. To Alice Chalmers, which is a tractor company, if you don't know. They had a plant in Springfield, Illinois, a few hours away from here, for many years, and this machine was sold brand new to them in 1938. Still has the Alice Chalmers tag on here, which I'm keeping. It was there from 1938 till 1985, when that plant shut down. The guy that ran it when the plant shut down bought it from the plant when they shut it down, if that makes sense. Moved it into his house. He ran it at his home shop for a long time. He passed away some years ago, and then I was able to buy it from his grandson. So kind of a cool story that I actually have all the history for it. It almost certainly made parts for the war. Alice Chalmers was very active in World War II, and this machine was there making parts for him. The headstock oil was, I don't even know if I could call it oil. It was unbelievably varnished. So I took all of this apart. Originally I took it apart because I couldn't move any of these levers, and I wanted to check speeds at the original sellers, and I couldn't. So a lot of times these levers are broken. They'll get hit with forklifts or whatever. It's machine's almost 90 years old. There's a million ways to break cast iron stuff. So I didn't want to get too far, put too much kind of juice on it to see if I could get them to move. So I wasn't able to move them before I got the machine home. When I got it home, I took this lid off and I spent probably 2 weeks straight with brake cleaner, with spray cans with kerosene, with rags, with toothbrushes, with wire brushes, with everything imaginable, and cleaned just an obscene amount of goop out of the inside of here. So it was actually full. Didn't look like very much oil had leaked out, but it was probably like the consistency of honey, maybe even like a cold honey. Like it was just very, very thick on the inside, and then every gear, every sliding surface, everything was varnished and made it unusable. Same thing with the gearbox. It wasn't quite as bad in the gearbox because there wasn't as much oil just sitting there, but it was really something. So yeah, cleaned it out. Went to extraordinary lengths to clean it out. Filled it up with kerosene, let it run, drained it, filled it up with kerosene again, let it run, drained it, so on and so on. I wound up doing a kind of half and half mixture of the oil that is supposed to be in it. Can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but I'll put it in the description. I got a 5-gallon bucket over there. But yeah, I did some mixtures of the appropriate oil and ATF. Ran it for however long, drained it out. So I finally got everything clean. And now it's running really good. It's running really quiet. I'll fire it up. It was noisy. Get out of the way so you guys can see it. It was pretty noisy. Before obviously definitely before I did all the work on the headstock, but then also I got into the gear train here and changed the gear lash. Was one of them was really loose, one of them was really tight. So I just kind of gave it a once over and went through and made sure all that was happy. But now, as you can see, that was 180 RPMs. But now, as you can see, well, you can't see because I haven't done it yet, but it shifts pretty easily now. Oh, these low gears are, yeah, there it goes. And there it goes. These low gears are kind of hard to turn it. So that's 12 RPMs. It was running 180 before, like I said. But yeah, it's running silky smooth now. Let me put it back in to 180. Oop, there it is. I'm gonna grab the camera off the tripod and show you a couple features of this thing. All right, pick the camera up so I can just kind of go left to right here and walk you through some of the features of the machine. Kind of let you see it from all angles. Hopefully this isn't too dizzying with the handheld camera. But yeah, anyway, that's try to get this stuff to focus. There we go. That's the Alice Chalmers tag that's been on it presumably since day one. So I left that there. Standard Monarch tag that's on here. Here's the info about the machine itself. So I guess I didn't mention this earlier at the very beginning. Get that to focus. So it's an 18BB. It says BB on here, and then on where the serial number is on the end of the bed, I'll show you. It says 18CBB. Best thing I can tell is that those two mean the same thing. So an 18BB and an 18CBB are functionally the same machine. So yeah, 20.5-inch swing, 72 inches between centers. This is bigger than what I was looking for originally, but it was close and the right price and all the right things where I just I couldn't pass it up. So I had to Tetris it a little bit to get it in the shop, but we made it work. And now that I do have it, I'm glad for that extra length. So I was looking at something more like a 16, 18-inch swing, maybe 48 or 54 inches between centers. But yeah, that 6-foot bed is actually going to open up some jobs for me that I wouldn't have been able to get with the smaller machines that I was looking at. Show you the gearbox. Moving over, this is a 15-inch 4-jaw that is probably going to live on there forever. So the 4-jaw, let's see if I can get focused again. The 4-jaw and then the steady rest that I'm going to show you in a minute are the only things that I have left to kind of clean up. This thing is still pretty greasy, not too terribly bad. I can't remember. I believe it's a Union chuck. I did some kind of poking around on ChatGPT trying to figure it out. And it seems like it's a Union chuck. I think it's missing a logo for Union right there. So if anybody's got a little Union thing that goes on a 15-inch 4-jaw, let me know. Moving along to the carriage, give you a view of that. Everything was in pretty good shape and cleaned up pretty nice. I still got to put a DRO on, but yeah, I don't know if this is gonna focus. There, I focused a little, or okay enough, I guess. Let's just see the kind of graduations on the dial there. Yeah, this thing will get a DRO eventually, so the dial won't be super duper important. This is an Aloris CA tool post I bought used from Lost Creek Machine in Ottawa. Those guys are great if you're looking for used tooling, used machines, old stuff. That place is incredible. I'll link them in the description. What else? Back to the tailstock. I actually have a whole video coming out on the tailstock where we reproduced this bracket. This was broken. So yeah, I made that and did a whole video series about it. But yeah, the tailstock cleaned up really nice. It did come with that Morse 4. I guess I should have mentioned that. This tailstock is a Morse Taper 4. Came with that live center. Came with that Jacobs chuck. It's a 16N, I think. I can't remember. It's the one that goes to 5/8. Yeah, 16N. And a couple of miscellaneous tool holders. Like I said, the steady rest is there, but it and the 4-jaw are the that doesn't want to focus. Are the two kind of projects that I have left. I guess there's one other project I'll show you too here in a minute. But yeah, it's complete. It works, but that's what the whole machine looked like before, and it needs to be gone through. I'm not going to pull it out, but I'll just kind of show you because it's under there. I have, if you can see under there, I have the original work light, which is pretty dope. I need to go through that as well. It's all crusty and chunky like everything was. But that's going to get cleaned up and put on here. Last thing I wanted to show you, here I'll give you some kind of perspective of where we are, but it's the, so the far right side of the bed, and get focused back on there. Yeah, inspected by RV, whoever that was, in 1937, maybe 38, who knows. And then yeah, again, CBB and 5081 is the serial number. That's going to do it for this video. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time.